this is Joanna and I'm back today with another video. And today I'm using the stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm also using the coordinating die. And then I'm using this die, and it's from My Favorite Things, and it's called Pierced Square Stacks. And it creates a pierced edge. It's really pretty, I think. And I have 3 shades of gray cardstock, and I'm trimming them down to size because this is I'm going to create my banners out of them, and I'm trimming them down to approximately 1/4 of an inch. And the cardstock is also from Simon Says Stamp. And then I have my card base, and this is Nina Solo White, 110 pounds. The cardstock that I almost always use. So I'm scoring this card is going to be a square card. So I'm scoring it at 4 1/4. So this is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I'm using my paper trimmer again to cut it down to size. And now it's time to die cut all of my pieces. So I'm die cutting the biggest square and also the word die. And I'm die cutting them out of the same cardstock as I used for my card base. So this is also Nina Solo White. And this is the pieces that I'm going to create my banner with. And I want one of the edges to be pierced as well. So I'm just running them through with my pierced rectangle die. And I just use some post-it tape there to keep them in place. But I want them to go from light to dark, so I'm just arranging the order. And then I'm using the post-it tape again to hold them in place. So I want it to be really straight, so that's why I'm struggling with it here quite a bit. So I'm just using my post-it tape again. And I'm going to do some silver embossing. So I'm using my Inka Dinka Do Magic embossing powder bag. And this is a really good tool because it prevents the embossing powder from sticking to the cardstock. It just sticks to the Versamark, so it removes any static, or if you have oil on your fingers, and maybe the embossing powder will stick to that. So I just I use that embossing powder bag all the time. And here I have decided on 3 small sentiments from the stamp set, and I'm lining them up there. So the card says, wishing you smiles, you love and hugs, and I could be there. So I'm using my Fiskars stamp press to line them up so I can stamp them at the same time. So I'm using my Versamark, and this is a really sticky ink. It's perfect when you are doing embossing. So I'm just lining it up there, and I'm making sure that I get a good impression. And then I bring out my silver embossing powder. And since I use that embossing powder bag, it only sticks to the Versamark. And then I use my heat tool to melt the powder. And I'm still keeping those on my post-it tape, and I will show you why I do that later on. But first I'm going to do the same thing with the die cut. I'm going to press it into my Versamark pad, and then I'm going to cover it with silver embossing powder. And I'm just using my tweezers there to make sure that I can hold it. So I'm pressing it down there, so I'm sure that I have silver embossing powder everywhere. And then I'm using my heat tool again to melt the embossing powder. And I'm not melting the entire piece, I'm not melting the last letter. So I'm just shifting where I hold the die, and then I melt it completely. And I want 2 coats of silver embossing powder, so when it's not hot anymore, I just press it down to the Versamark pad again. and then I'm pouring some embossing powder over it once more. And I just do the same thing. I'm heating it up on one of the halves with my heat tool, while I'm holding it with my tweezers, and then I just shift places with the tweezers and I'm melting the other piece. And if you have watermark takes a little bit to dry, so if the tweezer pulls away any of the powder, you can just dump it back into the powder and it will pick up some more embossing powder. And this is so pretty, so it's so shimmery and it looks almost like metal. I really love this. So now it's time to see how this card comes together, and I want to create banner edges on the card, so I'm cutting, and that's why I left them on the post-it tape, because I want them to be exactly the same size. So I'm cutting them just down a little bit, and then I'm using my scissors to cut these banner shapes or the flag shapes. And now it's time to adhere everything together. And if you are interested in any of the supplies that I used in today's video, they are listed in the YouTube description down below or over at my blog. And you can find that address in the YouTube description as well. So I'm using my ATG tape glider here to adhere all of the banners on the square. And I'm using my grid mat to make sure that I line them up. And as I said earlier, I'm going from light and then medium and then dark. So I'm not adding any dimension on the front of the card. I'm just adhering them all flat. And I want to bend the die cut a little bit. I want it to not to be as straight, but it is so delicate, so it's no problem to bend it a little bit. And I'm using my 2-way C glue pen, and I'm just dotting some dots of glue on the back side, and this will hold this die cut in place. You could of course use multimedia mat as well. Whatever your favorite adhesive will work for this. So I'm just bending the die cut a little bit. And then when I'm happy with the placement, I place my acrylic block over it to make sure that it dries in that position. And I couldn't emboss the little eyes, the small dots, so I'm using a silver pen to draw in the dots over the eyes. And then I'm using my foam tape on the back side to create some dimension. And this is my big mama roll of foam tape, my 3M foam tape. I really love this. It lasts forever and the backing is so easy to peel off. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. I hope that you liked the card and I hope that you got inspired. And hopefully I see you soon. Take care. Bye.